Hello, well, it's speech festival time again, and you are clearly considering performing a solo prose reading. And this is where you have to read out from the book in front of you. There are some really good choices here. Those I have highlighted in yellow, Fing, Girl Missing, and the Wordsmith, I'm going to demonstrate within this video, but I really do like each of the selections. So whichever one you choose, I am sure you will enjoy performing them. Now, the thing about reading aloud from a book is that for most people, they make it sound really boring. I'm sorry to say it so bluntly. When we read from a book, we are concentrating on the words written down in front of us. And for many people, they don't make it interesting. So you might tell a story by reading it from the book, or you might tell a story by standing up with no book and just telling the story. And I bet it will be very different. So how can you make your prose reading interesting and as if you were telling a story without the book in front of you? Well, there are ways of doing that, and I am going to demonstrate some of those ways with those three poems. So let's make a start. The first piece is Fing by David Walliams. He's a very funny author, and he's an actor and a presenter on television. He reads his poems, his prose really well. Many authors don't, but he does. So I'm going to go through this and try and make it as if I were telling the story without the words in front of me. I don't have the book open in front of me. All I can do is use the words that you see here on the slide. And I haven't memorized this. So I'm just reading it, as we say, off the top of my head. Sometimes perfectly nice parents have children who are monsters. Meet the Meeks. This is father, Mr. Maurice Meek. As his name suggests, Mr. Meek is a mild-mannered man who likes to wear socks with his sandals and would not dare to eat a peach in public. Mr. Meek works as a librarian. He loves libraries as they are quiet like him. This is a man who wouldn't say boo to a goose, or indeed any species of bird. This is mother, Mrs. Meredith Meek. She wears her glasses on a chain around her neck. The most embarrassing moment of her life was when she was sneezed on a bus. And everybody turned around and looked. It will not surprise you to learn that she is also a librarian. Meredith met Maurice at a library. They were both so painfully shy that they never spoke a word to each other for the first 10 years of working there. Eventually, across the poetry aisle, Maurice and Meredith fell in love. Some years later, they were married, and some years after that, they had a baby girl. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Girl Missing by Sophie McKenzie. Who am I? I put my head in my hands. How can anyone work out who they are unless they know where they come from? And I have no idea where I come from. I was adopted when I was 3. A minute later, a mum was calling from downstairs. Lauren, tea's ready. I raced down, glad to get away from the essay. I didn't get away from it for long. "How's the homework going?" Mum asked, prodding something in a frying pan. I mumbled. "For goodness sake, Lauren," Mum sighed. "Why can't you speak properly?" I looked at her. Same old Mum, short, bony, thin-lipped. I looked nothing like her. I spoke very clearly and slowly. "Who is my real mother?" Mum froze. For a second she looked terrified. Then her face went hard like a mask, no emotion. "I am," she said. "What do you mean?" "Nothing." I looked away, wishing I hadn't said anything. Mum sat down, the frying pan still in her hand. And now, the Wordsmith. I'm right in the middle. By Patricia Forde. Letta, the Wordsmith's apprentice, buried her face in her hands, exhausted. Her forehead ached and her eyes felt dry and dusty. She had transcribed hundreds of words since early morning, each one written in her own distinctive cursive style. This was their busiest time of year, the time of change. It was now that the masters took on apprentices, teachers took on new pupils, and people got ready for the long winter. She reached for another card and began to write. Search, to explore, to look for. An investigation seeking answers. She stopped for a second, resting her pen on the edge of the table. The evening light threw shadows on the walls and added to her anxiety. She had to do something. She couldn't sit here waiting for Benjamin to tell her why a gather had seen fit to visit there. She got up and walked to the living area, stopping outside Benjamin's study. There she hesitated. The voices from the inner room rose and fell, words slipping and sliding between the two men. Letta turned to the small round table and with great care filled the cups that stood waiting on the metal tray. 2 cups. The boiling water released the earthy smell of burdock, its pungent depths filling the room deep and clay-like. So, I hope you found that helpful, and if you would like me to help you, then I can record your chosen prose or poem, and I can do so with proper intonation and proper pronunciation and enunciation and intonation, and help with facial expressions and advice on body language and gestures. So if you think I can be of assistance, just write to me, Christopher, at hongkongspeechfestival@gmail.com. Okay, best of luck in the competition.